Well, we're back. This is one of these what would you say exercises where you imagine that there's somebody out there that you want to talk to and what you would say. Uh, so, without talking too much about it, let's get right into it. First, I should apologize for the fact that my lack of emotional maturity back then, uh, years ago, made the relationship difficult. I wanted to share what I've learned about myself since then. Um, you had wanted me to get um, neuropsychological testing and therapy when we were together. And I just had a lot of baggage from the past that made it where I felt that other people wouldn't accept me if they did label me, or they would point fingers at me, make me a scapegoat. And that's not fair to you. Um, that stigma stopped me from trusting that you would understand. Um, I thought there was a chance that a diagnosis or therapy or medication, I thought that you could possibly use that as a narrative to say, oh, he's the bad guy, you know. He's the crazy one in the relationship. He's this crazy boyfriend with these dark thoughts, and he's sad all the time, and he's tired, and he's always distracted by some stuff, and there's just something wrong with him. There's just something wrong with him, you know. Um, I mean, classmates and peers and family, teachers. I just figured, why would you be any different? Common denominator, right? So I'm sorry that I didn't trust you, and you were right. I do have some diagnoses now that would have been great to know back then. I have meds now that are helpful. They would have helped a little bit, I think. However, having said that, I've always wondered why you presumed malice over ignorance. And I realize, I understand now that, like, you most likely didn't have uh, a neurodivergent partner before me. At least they didn't say it, they didn't understand it. So you probably saw the challenges as actually something of a character flaw. You know, yeah, why doesn't he remember this thing? Why does he lose that thing? Why isn't he organized about this other thing? Um, and so I just got this epiphany. You know, I looked it up, and at the very most, the highest prevalence ever determined statistically for neurodivergent men is about 15%. Sometimes it's a little less, but that's about the biggest number. That's the most generous number, 15%. That's 1 out of 6 or 7 guys. Why wouldn't you assume that I had some issue? Like, if if you think about it, if there's one of me for every 5 or 6 other guys out there who don't have to deal with this stuff and is just being a jerk, messing up because they don't care, etc. You know, why would you presume that I'm any different? Maybe I was pretending. Maybe I didn't care. Maybe I was spoiled. Maybe I was stupid. You know, why why not think, oh, something's not adding up, so there must be a problem? Would things have been better if if I got those diagnoses, if I got those meds? Would you have accepted me? Would you have tried to help? I have no idea. On the one hand, uh, you know, maybe you could have said, oh, we're not compatible, and you might have been just really kind and broke up with me gently, no hard feelings, or maybe you would have just seen the diagnoses as irrelevant, like no excuse. You're still this terrible partner, you know. I had a job, I had friends, I had a home. I didn't go to special ed when I was a kid, so it must be an excuse, right? But it wasn't. This whole time I was just struggling through life, and that meant that I wasn't ready for a relationship at the time. I'm sorry about that. I was figuring out who I even was, you know. And so now I don't get triggered when partners complain about each other. Like if I have friends of mine who are like, oh, we argue all the time, we have all these issues, that would like trigger me into like, oh no, here's another one who like, you know, is ruining everything. I don't have to be defensive anymore because, you know, 85% evidently, at least, aren't neurodivergent. They're neurotypical. And so if they're causing issues, that's not, they're not like me. They have their path to travel and to figure themselves out, and I had my own, you know. They don't have to deal with ADHD. They don't have to deal with autism. They're not struggling with depression and anxiety and all types of stuff. They most likely they are this lion's share of guys who wouldn't even know what I was talking about. So yeah, I don't take it personally when I hear that stuff, because maybe the partner who's complaining about the other partner, maybe they will connect a couple of dots and be like, oh man, they're not being a jerk or weaponizing incompetence or uh, just letting themselves deal with learned helplessness, or maybe they're not gaslighting me, maybe they don't have some ulterior motive. uh, that's not easy. um, you know, people might think, oh, you know, she's smart, why would she do that? It must be malicious. He messed up again. Oh no, it's got to be that he's testing me. He's defiant. He's a narcissist. You know, they're crazy. He's crazy. She's crazy. It's hard not to do that. And if in a relationship they cause so much resentment that it's hard to empathize with them or be curious about them, to have assertive yet, you know, confident, respectful communication about the issues with them, that's not a fault of yours necessarily, but maybe that person is just not right for you, you know? Even if they're completely innocent and they don't even know that they're causing a problem, maybe they just need help from somebody else, you know? I have a neurodivergent partner, and she understands pretty much every challenge I've ever talked about with her. Um, there's no need to translate and, you know, oh, I meant this and this. Like, I don't have to sit there and hope that she trusts me. Uh, she doesn't have to hope that I trust her. We just ask, you know. And I'm not saying that it was a bad idea for a neurotypical person and a neurodivergent person to be together. I don't mean that. I'm just saying it's easier because you don't have to go through all these ridiculous hoops. You don't have to jump through all these hoops to figure each other out. So I can't prove to you that I wasn't trying to be malicious or sneaky or lazy or whatever. I can't do that. And this isn't meant to convince you anyway. Um, I could be lying through this entire channel. I could be pretending to have uh, symptoms, diagnoses, just so that I can make a bunch of videos making excuses. All I'm doing is just giving a possible alternative explanation for why things didn't work. Accept it, don't accept it, this fine. I do hope that you found somebody. I hope that you ended up with the nice house and the picket fence and the car and the pets running around and a good job and family, friends, and all that. I hope that, you know, I hope that you get all that because I really did believe that you deserved those. And I still do. Um, I'm sorry for falling short, but I did the best I could with the environment that was around me, with whatever's inside me, and with all the things that I've experienced, all the things I've learned. You can only do you can only do the best you can with those things, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Uh, and you do the best you can to understand yourself afterward. And I'm sorry that took so long for me. But wherever you are, uh, I wish you good luck, and I'm doing okay. I feel like these are getting better. These are like not as dramatic as the first one was, which is good because I don't want to be heavy every single video. Um, Maybe this will be a series. I don't know. I felt the need to say this stuff. Um, but thank you for listening as usual. Take care.